There's a long discussion in mental health science about how to make people to follow the programs, how to make people do the things the programs are telling them, how to make people hold on to a program. We have many people who leave the program. We have people who don't do what they are advised to do. So the programs are not that successful as they are thought to be. Well, what are the reasons? One very important reason seems to be that the people who are getting the programs are not really included in the design of the programs. Their needs, their ideas, what they need is not, they don't ask for that. The program designers think they are experts, they know what to do, and so they educate people. About 20, 30 years, no, a bit longer, 50 years ago, there was a new movement which started in Brazil by Mr. Freire. His first task was to educate people in literacy. They had to learn to read and to write. And he found out that it was easier for persons to read and to write when there was an abstract cause to do so, but when they learned reading and writing by talking about their personal needs and their personal interests. And he called this empowerment. And very soon this idea was taken over from other countries and from scholars also. And the idea of empowerment, next slide, next one. Yes, thank you. The idea of empowerment is to give persons more control over their own life and more influence into the environment, into the organizations which have impact on their lives. Empowerment is on 3 levels which are interconnected. On the psychological level, it's about personal efficacy and mastery to be able to participate and to influence institutions and decisions which are influencing my life. On the organizational level, it's about processes which make people able to do those participation and influences. And finally, organization and person together are influencing the community in order to change things they want to change. And so those bottom-up strategies start with the needs of the persons and the needs of the communities. And from this on, they are designing their interventions and their programs. And from this on, they start mental health prevention. What is very important, very often you have programs which are not focused directly on mental health, but community empowering programs very often are about change in the community, change of decision-making strategies, change of policies, and things like that. And one side effect of those community empowering programs is mental health of people enclosed in those programs is improving, is getting better. Next one, please. Next one. No, next one. Well, how what are those programs looking like? It's about programs, for instance, if there is a small community and they don't have a place for events or for assemblings, things like that, and they want to have those places. And so they get active and they talk to the institutions, to the government, to get resources to have a little house for events and for assemblies. And whilst they are doing this, they find out, oh, it would be good to also have some consultation office in that house for people who are feeling bad and who need some support. And so their first focus is that assembly house. But in the second focus, they find out also we can do something for improving mental health. And finally, the result of this process will not only be they have their assembly house, but also mental health. They have something to improve mental health. And by working together, by doing their activities, their own mental health will stabilize and even be enhanced. Well, that was an example how things can work. And I give you an overlook of research. Community empowerment outcomes on mental health. There is no overall evidence directly on mental health. Very often those programs only look at processes which think are very important for mental health. And so they find out, for instance, self-efficacy gets better, self-esteem gets better, people feel more empowered. Those are aspects which we know are very important for maintaining and improving mental health. Well, if we look on the activities in those programs, we find out the most impact is by activities in which the people themselves deliver the intervention. That is, when the people go to the, for instance, in our example, go to the offices, when the people plan the house, when the people are doing everything to get what they want in their empowering process. If people are just passive taking part, the impact on mental health is not as big as if they are really active. Well, we also find out that participation not always is working. Higher levels of formal participation in community organizations are only good for the mental health in neighborhood with average levels of environmental stresses. They are not helpful in very rich environments, and they are also not very helpful in very poor environments. Also, those informal ties with neighbors, visiting your neighbor, having a chat with your neighbors, things like that, are only good for mental health in advantage mostly white communities. That is, the processes you have to do in your programs are very different depending on the community you are working with. In low income and very stressed communities, most important thing is making when they have the opportunity to act and to influence what is happening around them. Next one. Next. No, thank you. Well, a very often used community empowering strategy is microcredit interventions. We also know community empowerment interventions are very effective when they focus on the women. They're more effective when they focus on the women than they are when they focus on the men. Obviously, women are very important for mental health and for their own mental health, of course, but also for mental health in the family. And so projects focusing on the women are very effective. One example are those microcredit schemes, and they are most effective when they also are giving information on mental health, but looking at the needs of the women. What do they want to know? What do they is interesting for them, not what is interesting for the program designers. And also when they get some kind of educational training. This also makes things more effective. I will give you one more examples on a big program of community intervention, which also had important side effects on mental health of the people. In Glasgow, Scotland, they had a big project improving housing and regenerating housing. And they didn't do that project by administration, but they enclosed inhabitants from beginning. And inhabitants could influence how improvement was done. They could make plans. They talked to the institutions, and they told them their needs, and their community was very active in this program. What they found out, people felt very much empowered. They told in questionnaires, I have much influence, what is going on in my community, I can change things, people listen to me, things like that. And that influenced mental well-being, and was not that much connected to mental health, like how much depression, how much fears, or things like that. The neighborhood empowerment had more impact on mental well-being and mental health than housing empowerment. That is, when they were supported to meet their neighbors, to talk to their neighbors, to get some conjoint ideas what to do, to make plans how their neighborhood should look like and things like that. That was very influencing. But when they delivered plans how the housing should look, and what especially they wanted in their houses, that was not that influential. Also, proactive forms of empowerment, like influencing the decisions, like taking actions oneself to improve things, was more influential than reactive or passive forms, just sitting in the assembly, just sitting with the neighbor, or things like that. That is the same as I told you before. If people are able to act, it makes them feel better than if people are just attending. And also what was very important, if they supported each other, and that was very good for their mental health. That's what we also know from individual research on mental health. Social support is most effective when people give it themselves, not getting social support, but giving social support. Generally, being active seems to be very, very important for mental health. Okay, next one. Well, on this slide, I just put together the processes which are really important for mental health in community empowerment. And you find some kind of conclusion in this slide. You have this building trust between people, which is working when you have a good community empowerment project. It's like sharing experiences. They can talk to each other. Oh, what was it like to go to the mayor and talk about our ideas? It's like using experiential knowledge. Everyone has some knowledge and has some ideas how things can work. And this shall be used during the project. And finally, giving people the opportunity really to influence the community, that is really empowering them, and not only to give them some formal decision processes. So, conclusion, community empowerment and mental health, very often processes don't focus directly on mental health, and also very often results are not only with mental health, but very often with processes which then influence mental health. So, next one. Next one. Thank you for your attention, and I hope I gave you some ideas that not only addressing the individual, but also addressing the community can influence mental health.
Health is not only tackled by government but also the community, right?
Yeah,
so
that's very important.
yeah.
And very often communities have different needs than the government thinks they have.
Yeah, so you show that there are two ways in order to give intervention to the community, top down and also bottom up. And I think from your slide, I see that bottom up is better compared to top down, right?
Yeah. Well, if we look at the evidence, we find a lot of interventions which make both.
Both, all right.
There are experts who have some ideas, and then they ask the persons, and they make them active, telling their needs, and then only they design the program after this.
All right.
And they make the people influence how the program is designed.
So it depends then. Yeah. From
only doing top-down won't work very well. You have some elements of bottom-up.
Yeah, so
you have to have some elements of bottom-up to make
mix up between top-down and also bottom-up. Yeah. Thank you so much, Prof. So I will give a brief explanation to the audiences because some of them maybe, a little bit struggling in understanding in English. Bagi para peserta yang bergabung online maupun offline, saya akan memberikan sedikit pemaparan terkait apa yang sudah coba dieksplor oleh Prof. Barbara. Beliau memberikan materi mengenai penguatan kesehatan mental dari sudut pandang komunitas. Nah, jadi di sini beliau mengatakan bahwa kesehatan mental itu tidak hanya menjadi isu personal yang harus ditangani oleh individu per individu, tetapi juga kemudian ada peran komunitas atau masyarakat yang coba juga untuk memikirkan bagaimana isu kesehatan mental itu bisa ditangani oleh kelompok-kelompok masyarakat. Nah, prevention atau pencegahan mengenai isu kesehatan mental ini ada dua teknik yang tadi Prof sebutkan, ada yang top down, ada yang bottom up. Nah, kalau top down ini pendekatannya adalah dari level pemerintah, di mana mereka memberikan kebijakan-kebijakan terkait dengan isu-isu kesehatan mental, kemudian akan mengerucut ke level bawah sehingga mereka akan menyesuaikan atau melihat apa ini bagaimana cara mengaplikasikan apa yang sudah dibuat, apa kebijakan yang sudah ada di level pemerintah untuk bisa diimplementasi. Nah, Prof juga mengatakan bahwa kedua pendekatan, satu lagi bottom up. Kalau bottom up itu berarti dari bawah. Dari bawah berarti ada isu-isu yang kemudian coba disampaikan oleh masyarakat bahwa kami butuh seperti ini, kami ingin seperti ini. Kemudian itu bisa memberikan semacam input kepada pemerintah untuk membuat sebuah penanganan dari masyarakat atau dari komunitas. Nah, Prof juga menyebutkan tadi bahwa tidak bisa intervensi ini atau prevention ini bergerak satu-satu. Jadi dua-duanya harus digabung ya, tergantung pada kondisi. Karena fokus dari penjelasan yang diberikan oleh Prof Barbara ini ke komunitas ya, jadi tadi saya juga lihat bahwa ada beberapa hal yang menjadi isu kesehatan mental terkait dengan komunitas. Yang pertama termasuk employment atau pekerjaan, termasuk juga pendapatan, income, neighborhood, hubungan kita dengan tetangga, itu juga berhubungan dengan isu kesehatan mental. Kemudian hardship material ya, tentang kepemilikan barang-barang, diskriminasi, kemudian juga hubungan keluarga, support sosial, kemudian juga partisipasi kita dalam kehidupan komunitas. Nah, jadi tadi Prof juga sudah menyampaikan bahwa empowerment atau penguatan ini dia ada 3 ya. Kalau tadi kita lihat ada 3 gambar besar yang coba dijelaskan, ada dari level psikologis, level organisasi, kemudian yang paling akhir itu ada level komunitas. Jadi komunitas juga punya peranan penting. Tadi pagi kita sudah bahas mengenai keluarga. Ya, bahwa keluarga punya peran juga dalam isu kesehatan mental. Nah, ternyata selain dari itu komunitas tetangga kita juga punya pengaruh yang sangat signifikan untuk menangani isu-isu kesehatan mental ini. Mungkin ini ya sedikit review dari saya terkait dengan materi yang disampaikan oleh Prof Barbara. Ya, silakan untuk sudah ada pertanyaan? Sudah ada 2.
There is one question here in the chat.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to stress one more aspect.
Right. Yeah, please, Prof.
The bottom-up approach always looks at the strength of the people. In difference to the top-down, which looks at the deficits,
the weakness.
and weaknesses.
Ya, jadi Prof menambahkan bahwa intervensi tadi yang top down dan bottom up itu, kalau misalnya bottom up dari bawah ke atas, itu mereka fokus pada strength atau kekuatan yang dimiliki orang masyarakat yang bisa kita tawarkan untuk membantu mengatasi isu kesehatan mental. Tapi kalau top down, karena itu dari atas, dari pemerintah mereka bikin kebijakan, mereka akan fokus pada kelemahan-kelemahan masyarakat, seperti itu. Untuk itu makanya kedua intervensi ini tidak bisa berjalan sendiri, tetapi juga harus di mix up ya, dicampur, bergantung pada mana yang dibutuhkan, karena tidak ada yang paling benar, tidak ada yang salah juga, bergantung pada kondisi, seperti itu. Ya, oke. Saya coba. We already have 2 questions on the chat box, Prof.
Yes, I see.
4 already. Right, hopefully I can open it.
The first one, shall I give an answer, or what do you want me to do?
Yeah, maybe I will read them through first. So after that, I will give you a chance to answer those questions. Is that right?
Yeah. The first one is in English, I think, so I can answer.
Right then. Yeah, how mental health on the children, how the issues of mental health on the children.
Yes, that's that one.
Yeah.
What is ABT?
Special needs children.
Yeah. Okay. We know, special needs children must not necessarily have mental problems. In Germany, we have different kinds of special needs. We give different groups, and of course, most are about abilities and not about mental health, like children who are not have difficulties with learning, or children who can't hear very well, or things like that. We also have one category. It's about emotional and behavior problems, and we know about those children. It's helpful to look at their strengths, to look what they are able to do. Are they able to, in what situations are they able to regulate themselves? In what situations are they able not to burst out? In what situations are they able to listen to teacher? And when we start from this, it's much easier to support them than when we cook. When does he cry? When does he fight? When does he be angry, or things like that?
So do you think like autism spectrum disorder is kinds of mental illness or that disability?
Autism is really some kind of mental illness. We know there is some biological aspect in this, but also with those children, you can find out aspects where they are functioning rather well, and you can make their life and their parents' life easier when you look at the aspects which are functioning.
All right.
I have autism-like children in my family, and we got them to a normal school, and it worked.
Yeah, luckily then. So in this autism, for example, I will take the context of the question is how to deal with the children with mental illness problem or special needs. I can say, for example, autism. How the community deal with that children then? Do you think is there any like regulation or policy?
I think the biggest problem for those children themselves and their families is not to be included, not to be accepted, to getting some kind of stigma. Very often families, the community has a very small idea what is normal, and those children are besides out of this idea. And what community can do is to include those children. They are different, okay, many people are different. And on the other hand, to follow some instructions how to interact with those children. You can, with autistic children, depending on your kind of interactions, they get more or less aroused, they get more or less furious. So community can support families very well in this.
So in this term, the community support the family who have children with special needs,
So the family doesn't feel alone with the child. They know there is some kind of support. And we know in families which have a good social support, they can handle autism much better than families who are very lonely with that child.
Right. So the things that we have to accept those children, right?
Yes. In the first place. You must not accept every behavior, but you have to accept the child.
Jadi tadi penjelasan dari Prof. Barbara bahwa bagaimana ketika peran komunitas ketika menangani anak-anak dengan kebutuhan khusus ya ABK atau special needs ini. Jadi beliau tadi menyampaikan bahwa ABK itu kalau di Jerman tidak semua bermasalah atau dikategorikan ke dalam kesehatan mental, masalah kesehatan mental ya. Jadi ada anak-anak yang memang dikategorikan bahwa dia tidak mampu mendengar, ya anak-anak kebutuhan atau tidak mampu membaca, yang kemudian itu berhubungan mungkin dengan kebutuhan mereka untuk sekolah sama dengan anak-anak yang lain. Kemudian tadi saya memberikan contoh spesifik pada autism, salah satunya misalnya bagaimana kemudian komunitas bisa berperan. Di sini Prof menjelaskan bahwa hal yang paling utama adalah menerima. Jadi komunitas ini harus menerima bahwa anak ini berbeda. Everyone is different and okay to be different, kata Prof tadi ya. Jadi tidak masalah, dan hal yang perlu dilakukan oleh komunitas adalah dengan memberikan penguatan pada keluarga. Jadi empower the family. Jadi community punya peran untuk memberikan penguatan kepada keluarga supaya keluarga ini kuat untuk membesarkan anak dengan kebutuhan khusus tadi ya ABK. Yeah. So
I can give you one example, for instance, what community can do. If you have an autism spectrum child, you have to have very strict rules in order not to get the child nervous and aroused. And also, you know, there are some situations the child can't handle very well. So you have to get the child off those situations. And very often your neighbors or your friends are telling you, why are you so strict with those rules? Why are you taking off the child of this situation? Just leave him go. And community should follow the parents in the regulations, in their behavior to the child, and they make it more difficult for the family if they say no rules and leave the child to every situation and things like that. And if community follows the parents, it makes it much easier for the parents.
Yeah, I agree with you, Prof. So sometimes community give the parents like stigma. You have a mental health problem, you have child with mental health problem, and just leave your child like that. And jadi Prof tadi mengatakan bahwa ketika ada kesenjangan antara orang tua dengan komunitas, misalnya komunitas memberikan stigma kepada keluarga yang memiliki anak-anak berkebutuhan khusus, jika memang perlu tinggalkan komunitas atau biarkan mereka berkata apapun. Jadi tidak bisa anak-anak ABK tadi dibiarkan begitu saja. Kenapa kok ibu punya aturan yang strict sama anak, harus begini harus begitu? Karena memang kan harus diberi aturan, mereka harus demikian ya. Kemudian ketika komunitas protes nggak boleh begini nggak boleh begitu, padahal sebenarnya memang harus demikian. Just leave them gitu ya, karena akan lebih mudah jika komunitas itu bisa membantu keluarga, bukan kemudian malah sebaliknya, seperti itu. Ya, itu tadi untuk pertanyaan pertama. Kemudian ada beberapa, we have some question, Prof, about your slides. I also note the same with the audience that community empowerment intervention is easier to women, right? You mentioned that. Why, Prof? Why?
It seems to be that even today women are more interested in the well-being of their families, of their children, and more attentive to mental processes. And if, on the other hand, women very often are more vulnerable because they empowerment. They don't have so much power as men. They have not so many possibilities to decide on their lives. And so, if empowerment processes focus on the women, they make the women stronger, and they make the persons stronger who care about the mental health of their families. And so you get two things in one.
Two things in one. So maybe the women, or in this term you can say the wife, they take care of the family compared to husband to be a breadwinner of the family. So she takes care of everything in home, taking care of his child. So it's easier for them to be empowered compared to men.
Well, and even in our society, even with women getting more rights, they still are more often the persons who are attentive to the mental processes of their family. It's the mother who feels, oh, her child is so very, very often afraid, or, well, my little son is so sad all the time. It's the mother who's looking at that and not the father.
Ya, agree with you. Ya, jadi Prof. Barbara tadi mengatakan kenapa perempuan lebih mudah untuk diberikan penguatan mengenai kesehatan mental dibandingkan laki-laki ya. Tadi karena Prof menyebutkan ada sebuah riset yang menunjukkan bahwa ternyata perempuan itu lebih mudah untuk diberikan penguatan terkait kesehatan mental dibandingkan dengan laki-laki. Salah satu alasannya adalah karena perempuan lebih banyak mengambil peran di dalam rumah, taking care the child. Ketika anak marah tadi ya, yang melihat mereka itu ibunya bukan ayahnya gitu. Jadi dan ini juga bertujuan untuk membuat orang-orang yang less power. Jadi perempuan ini dianggap sebagai salah satu yang punya powerless ya, kurang jadi untuk di empower, untuk diberikan penguatan. Untuk itu maka perempuan lebih mudah untuk diberikan penguatan atau empower terkait dengan mental health issue. Itu ya penjelasannya tadi. We still have time?
Yes.
Yeah?
I've got enough time.
Yeah. Yeah, another question, Prof. How to deliver the mental health issue to the stakeholders so they understand this is the important things, this is the crucial things that we need to handle. Sometimes they have their own ego about the issues related to mental health and they don't want to listen to us. Like you mentioned, we have the bottom up, so there's one from like bottom up, the solution come from the people, and then we show this to the government, and sometimes government reject this idea. So how to overcome with this situation?
Well, I think one reason is it's easier to plan top down. You can easier make a plan top down. You tell, oh, I'm going to educate people in this and that, and then I'm doing step 1, 3, 4. And that's why governments love top-down projects. And it is more complicated to do a bottom-up project. And I think the only possibility is first thing to show them top-down projects don't work as well as you think. There's so much discussion in science about how to make people to take part, how to make people do what the project tells them. And so perhaps it's worthwhile to try a little bit different approach. And perhaps in the beginning you should combine top-down and bottom-up. Not doing only bottom-up, but doing both. So it will be easier to convince your stakeholders.
So mix up with bottom up and also top down intervention.
Yes.
So it's easier to
stakeholders will be happy and you can get your ideas anyway.
Yeah, otherwise they will pretend to use their own own regulation, and we force to accept the regulation that already made, right?
Yeah. Well, you can have a strategy. It's like looking behind the regulations. Very often the regulations are in the way. You can use them and try something which is a little bit different. You can tell them, oh, I'm doing a project on depression and it is like that and that. But to make it work very effectively, I also have to ask the people about that and that. And then it's easier to convince your stakeholders.
Ya, jadi jawaban dari Prof. Barbara supaya ini bisa menjembatani antara top down dan juga bottom up adalah dengan mix up ya. Jadi menggabungkan kedua intervensi tersebut supaya kita juga bisa mendapatkan masukan dari bawah dan kemudian pemerintah bisa membuat regulasi terkait kesehatan mental berdasarkan masukan atau input yang didapat dari masyarakat, karena kebutuhan tetap yang akan memanfaatkan masalah regulasi terkait kesehatan mental ini tetap adalah masyarakat, ya. Do we have still time? Yeah. I read there are so many questions on the chat box. Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Can you choose one, maybe? Bu Usfur also already. Oh, udah. Terus mana? So many questions, Prof, but we can't answer
So many questions.
Yeah, it means that they are attracted to your talk about community mental health, that we have issues not only personal or family, but also in community. We face the same problem about mental health, and also the stigma. Sometimes we already accept that we have problem with our mental issues, but then when we come back to the community, sometimes community reject us, so make us come back to the illness again or relapse.
What we see very often, stigma also results from not knowing exactly how the issue is working. And in my experience, it's very important to show people that that's not a person who is quite different from you. This person has only a bit more of this or that than the average person. So to show them there is a connection between normal persons and persons with mental health issues. It's stigma results from looking at them as completely different persons.
Yeah, I do agree with you.
For instance, tell people, okay, there are some people, also normal people, when they're stressed in their life, they start thinking, oh, everything is done, and it's not useful to try anything anymore. But they do it only sometimes when they have very big stress. And other people, when they have very big stress, they do it more often. And then they get depressed. But they are not completely different from you. It's only a bit more of this strategy you also use when you are stressed. And so it's easier for people to understand mental health issues.
Yeah, so the problem here is the less education about mental health, so they make their own stigma about mental illness person, right? Yeah,
Well, I think a classical mental health education even makes the stigma stronger because it puts mental health categories like something special, something quite different from normal, and that's not right.
Yes. Ya, jadi Prof. Barbara menyebutkan bahwa stigma negatif dari masyarakat tentang isu kesehatan mental itu adalah karena kurangnya pengetahuan, ya. Jadi mereka tidak tahu bahwa sebenarnya perbedaan antara normal dan abnormal, orang itu kan berbeda, ya, individual differences, dan beda itu adalah natural, human nature, ya. Jadi ketika ada orang sakit fisik itu normal, dia berobat. Kemudian ketika ada yang sakit secara psikologis itu juga normal. Ya, jadi stigma itu dibangun dari ketidaktahuan, ya. Oke, pertanyaan tadi, yang tadi sudah di highlight. Last question, the last question. Okay, Prof, we have the last question because of the time. So this is the question, Prof, about how to make someone. Oh, they don't want to be They don't want to go to a psychologist, but they have a problem mentally. How to deal with person like this? They refuse to go to psychologist.
Yes, in some mental health conditions, persons, you have mental health conditions, persons don't understand they have an issue. For instance, in schizophrenia, they don't know they have a condition. And on the other hand, people who are very depressed, they don't have the energy. And sometimes it is possible to do little steps. Well, perhaps you must not go to a therapist, but perhaps it is a good idea to find some person who is really listening to you. Your family, your friends, they're always giving advice that's not helpful. Perhaps you can find someone who's really listening to you and tries to understand what's important for you. And then you get make it easier for the person to get to go to a therapist than also telling the person, I think your life, you have so many difficult situations in your life. No normal person would be able to cope with this. Sometimes life is so difficult, we need someone who is supporting us. And so the person doesn't think it's her fault, but she thinks it's okay to look for some advice. So it's easier for her to do this step.
Yeah, so the first thing that we need to do is to find out someone that can help us to listen, listening to us, and also give us empathy, what happened, Jadi,
I think the biggest problem for those persons is they think, oh, everyone thinks I'm not normal, and it's my fault, and things like that. And you have to take this idea away from them.
Jadi Prof mengatakan bahwa tadi pertanyaan dari salah satu peserta bagaimana caranya itu adalah dengan mencari seseorang yang bisa memberikan support. Ini juga berhubungan dengan apa yang disampaikan oleh pemateri kita tadi pagi, bahwa support system itu sangat dibutuhkan karena tidak ada satupun kita manusia yang bisa menghadapi semua masalah itu sendirian. Kita butuh orang lain, kadang-kadang hanya butuh didengarkan, listen kemudian bisa memberikan, bisa mendengar, kemudian bisa memberikan empati terhadap apa yang sedang kita rasakan. Karena lagi-lagi kadang kalau stigma pergi ke psikolog itu rasanya kayak pergi ke udah gila gitu karena stigma itu masih banyak sekali kita dengar. Even ditanya kita kuliah di mana, di psikologi, bisa baca pikiran saya Nah, itu juga masih muncul pada orang-orang di sekitar yang mungkin sering juga kita dengar. Nah, stigma itu kan muncul karena kurangnya kurangnya pengetahuan. Udah, coba. We already in the end of the events. I will it's very short, Prof, but we already in the morning. What time in Germany right now? Is it 10 a.m. in the morning?
It's 10 a.m. Yes.
10 a.m. Do you have anything to do after this, Prof?
Pardon?
Do you have anything to do after this?
No, I don't have any thing to do. I'm free now.
Thank you very much for your willingness and for your information, Prof. Barbara. Visited us several years ago. She came to our faculty of psychology for 1 month, Prof. 1 month or
yes,
1 month. She stayed with us and give a lot of feedbacks on education, about psychology, about curriculum, and she delivered a lot of talk about psychology, mental health. We talk about CBT at that time. Still you remember?
Yes, I remember.
With the lecturer. And I wish you were here, Prof.
We did some little introduction.
And hopefully you visit our faculty again one day.
I would like.
Prof. Barbara baru saja kembali dari Bolivia, juga program SES Senior Expert Service. Jadi beliau sudah mengunjungi beberapa negara terkait dengan program Senior Expert Service Jadi Senior Expert Service ini adalah non-government organization yang dimiliki oleh pemerintah Jerman, di mana mereka mengirimkan profesor yang sudah retired atau sudah pensiun untuk tetap memberikan pengalaman profesional mereka ke beberapa negara berkembang, termasuk salah satunya adalah Indonesia. Dan Aceh pernah dikunjungi juga oleh Prof. Barbara, dan kita pernah menerima Prof di sini selama 1 bulan, dan beliau juga sudah pernah berkunjung ke Yogyakarta dan juga Jawa Timur. Ya, thank you very much, Prof, for your willingness today. We are really happy to have you, and it's an honor for me to speak with you directly, even virtually. Hopefully, we can meet one day when I go to UK. We can meet either in Germany or in London. Yeah, thank you very much for your time, and we have some things for you. The certificate is already there.
Oh, that's nice.
I will send this through email to you, though.
Yeah. And thank you very much, and thank you for so many contributions and questions.
Yeah, hopefully you still there and able to talk to us again next time when we arrange another activity or events related to psychology.
I would like to. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Where is the certificate? Yeah, this is
I see.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is as an appreciation to you for your time, for your willingness to talk to us today, to share to us about the mental health issues, especially related to community mental health. And hopefully we will see you again next time in another event or another seminar. And take care. We will have a picture, maybe virtual picture with Prof. Barbara. Just screenshot, Prof. With all the audiences in the Zoom and also live here. Oh, we have 5 slides because so many participants joined via Zoom. So we'll take one by one. Just give the clue. 1, 2, 3, then capture, right? Oh, untuk peserta dimohon untuk on kamera supaya kita bisa mengabadikan foto bersama dengan Prof. Barbara yang akan diambil oleh panitia. Dah. Yang gede profnya, jangan saya yang besar. profnya yang besar. Tukar. Profnya yang besar.
Okay.
Wait, Prof. Hold on. Yeah. Udah semua? Udah. Right. Thank you very much, Prof. Take
Thank
care.
you very much.
Yeah, I'll send you the certificate through email. And thank you very much for today. And on behalf of the committee, I'll say thank you very much for your time and also your willingness to be a speaker in our international seminar. And happy International World Mental Health, Prof. Yeah. Give applause to Prof. Barbara. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. So this marks the end of our international seminar today. As a moderator, we'll close this event by giving back the stage to the MC. Right? Alright, thank you very much and forgive me for any mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Goodbye and thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all from our agenda today. I'm Murdiana as Master of Ceremony. I apologize if I made some mistake during the seminar event. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. para peserta selanjutnya yaitu foto bersama atau dokumentasi. Jadi silahkan berdiri di tempat masing-masing. Mungkin bangku yang kosong bisa diisi juga. Untuk peserta, kita untuk ambil fotonya semua ke depan aja.
Ini aja, ibu-ibu atau yang keinginan. Yang ini di bawah. Ada ini aja nanti. Lihat gambar dapat. Ini aja nanti hitung ya. Yang bikinnya di atas. Ya.
Kampus UIN Ar-Raniry. Mari putra putri segera giat belajar ilmu, amalkan petua mulia agar hidup sejahtera, agar hidup sejahtera.
Silakan Abang